only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to our co-hosted event with CPC Strategy and Zaius, from acquisition to retention, turning first-time buyers into repeat customers. Before we actually begin today's presentation, just want to wait for a little more of the audience to actually jump in. It's just a minute before 2 p.m. on the Eastern Coast. Just want to get a sense of where the audience is from, where you guys are airing from. So in the meantime, maybe just shoot me over a quick message in the chat box, maybe your name and where you're from. That way we can kind of get a better sense of where everyone's airing from. So let's see, first one in here, Nicole. Nicole from Canada. Welcome, Nicole. Thanks for joining us for today. Mike from New Zealand. Awesome. Mike, that's totally opposite side of the country, or world, sorry. So that's good to see. So definitely Paul from LA, welcome. I think, Paul, you were on the webinar yesterday as well, if I'm not mistaken, so welcome. Brian from Rhode Island, I remember you from yesterday. Murat, yep, welcome from California. I remember you from yesterday as well. Wes, you were on the webinar as well yesterday. Welcome, welcome. Cheryl and Bob from Tampa, nice, welcome. Nice weather down there, totally opposite in the Boston area. Let's see who else we have. Joanne from Chicago, nice, welcome. Let's see who else we have here. Yep, Murat's back, yep, Paul he was here yesterday, fantastic. Great, so just gonna wait a couple more minutes here, a minute or two, and let the rest of the audience join us. Just stay tuned. Fantastic. Well, looks like everyone's starting to filter in. Looks like we have a lot of different people from all over the faces of the earth. We have Chicago, Sweden, Ryan. Yes, that is the best weather in Miami. You are accurate. Jim, welcome from Alabama. Just welcome everyone. Welcome to day 2 of From Acquisition to Retention, turning first-time buyers into repeat customers. Today we have our partners over at Zaius. We have the VP of Marketing, Eric Keating. He's going to be talking about 5 ways to convert holiday shoppers into loyal customers. And so let's just jump into logistics of the actual presentation. Before we actually begin, just want to discuss a couple of housekeeping items for today. I want you guys to join the conversation. Submit your questions, your thoughts, anything that you have. Just shoot them in the chat box. There's me on the right side, Nick Cotter, Marketing Operations Coordinator at CPC Strategy. I'll be behind the scenes here, answering questions, helping to cipher through all the questions that come through and pitch them over to Eric as well. There is going to be a live Q&A at the end of the presentation. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's what you guys come here for too. We're going to drop some knowledge, but there's going to be questions that arise. So definitely shoot those over. I'll shoot those over to Eric as well. The recording, it will be sent out tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for an email from CPC Strategy as well. And so that's pretty much it. Well, without further ado, though, let's just jump in for our presenter for today. We have Eric Keating, VP of Marketing at Zaius. Eric, you all set to present?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nick. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Great. Yeah, if we have any audio issues or anything, definitely feel free to interrupt. I'm counting on you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So thanks again. Like Nick said, I'm Eric Keating. I am VP of Marketing at Zaius. For the last 10 years or so, I've worked with e-commerce brands to build marketing strategies that both drive customer acquisition and also existing customer growth. But no matter which company I was working with, the thing they all had in common is that each business saw the fastest, easiest, most profitable path to growth by investing in the growth of their existing customers. And that's why I ended up joining Zaius, because Zaius built a product that's designed to do just that. So you've got our pitch up here on the screen. You all can read it, but really what we're focused on is helping our customers drive repeat purchases and maximize customer lifetime revenue. So we're doing that by giving our customers the ability to optimize their marketing for customer growth instead of just campaign performance. So instead of measuring success on metrics like clicks and opens and visits, all channel-centric metrics, they're able to understand exactly which campaigns are driving repeat purchases, customer loyalty, lifetime revenue, et cetera, and ultimately how to increase their customers' velocity through their life cycle. So if you're interested in learning more, check out our website, Zaius.com, and also you can get started with the platform for free, so feel free to do that. Cool. So what we're going to cover today. So we'll start off with a brief overview of the situation today, which includes a quick recap of takeaways from 2015, as well as the forecast for the 2016 holiday season. Then we'll talk about what we at Zaius believe is the most important purchase in the customer's life cycle and why, followed by 5 ways that you can capitalize on all of your increased holiday traffic by turning what are likely one-time buyers into lifelong customers. And we'll round out by giving you a chance to ask questions and me the chance to hear myself talk for a few extra minutes. Cool. All right. That was my attempt at a joke. All right. While we're on the slide, just feel free to follow us at @GetZaius on Twitter. We'll be doing real-time webinar updates, and also we encourage you to submit questions through the GoToWebinar panel, but also if there's anything you want to ask on Twitter, we are looking at that channel, so just use the hashtag #HolidayLoyalty and tweet at us, and we'll make sure we address it. Cool. All right, so 2016 holiday forecast. I'm not sure if any of you saw the National Retail Federation holiday forecast for the year, but it is positive. So it's a good time to be in retail marketing right now, NRF is expecting in November and December alone for holiday sales to increase by 3.6% this year, which is at a total of $656 billion. That's significantly higher than the average over the last 10 years of 2.5%, and above the 7-year average of 3.4% since the recovery began in 2009. Additionally, NRF is forecasting non-store sales, which includes online sales, direct-to-consumer, and kiosk, but it's primarily e-commerce, to increase by 7 to 10%, to as much as $117 billion this year. So there's little doubt that we're in for a strong season, but with e-commerce sales accounting for a higher percentage of sales every year, it's important to note how that growth breaks down by channel and device. So in 2015, a year that we have more data for, also a year that we saw slightly more modest but still impressive growth. In-store sales grew by 1.7%, desktop sales grew by 6%, and mobile sales grew by almost 60% year over year, with smartphones specifically nearly doubling year over year. So clearly, ease and accessibility is playing a significant role in growth, not just this past year, but for the past many years. And given that it's difficult for many retailers to quantify the full impact of mobile on sales, and the reason I say that is, at least from our customers, they're understanding that a large percentage of their customers will conduct most of their product research on mobile devices, but then finally complete their purchase on desktop or in store. So most reports that you're reading are actually undercrediting the channel. So in terms of how holiday sales fit into retailers' overall annual sales, the stats are just as impressive. Vast majority of retailers say that 20% or more of their annual sales occurred during the holiday season. And one report from NRF actually claims that some retail brands are seeing up to 40% of annual revenue coming exclusively from holiday sales. So I think it would be a massive understatement to say that holiday sales are critical to retailers' livelihoods, but sadly, you won't see most of those customers again until the 2017 holiday season, if ever at all. So this is one of our big stats that we care a lot about. More than 80% of your holiday shoppers will not make a second purchase in 2017, and that holds true across the year. But it's even more true, and the number tends to be even higher during the holidays. So all the time and effort you put into attracting new holiday shoppers this season will likely result in one big spike of sales, which I'm sure for you acquisition-focused marketers, you may be okay with that. But as a customer marketer focused on retention and growth, it kind of makes your stomach sink thinking that you're losing that many customers. So imagine the returns of reducing that 80% by even just a few percentage points. It's pretty crazy. The good news is if you do manage to drive that repeat purchase, the second purchase, your customer is now more than twice as likely to make a third purchase. So about 45% of repeat buyers make a third purchase. And not only are they more likely, but the cost of conversion is exponentially lower. And that just compounds as they make additional purchases. So nearly 60% of third-time buyers make a fourth, and so on. And that percentage just gets higher and higher. So what we propose is that the single most important purchase in a customer's life cycle is their second purchase. So you might be thinking, Eric, how could you possibly believe that the second purchase is more important than the first? Well, you're right. It's not possible without the first. But data has proven that the fastest, most profitable path to growth of your business is through growth of existing customers. In fact, 41% of total online revenue in the U.S. comes from repeat customers, even though only 8% of U.S. customers are actually repeat customers. So it's a very, very important metric. So we maintain that your top priorities should really be driving repeat purchases, growing average order value, and driving customers toward loyalty and maximizing their customer lifetime revenue. And the key to doing that effectively is to focus on one single objective, and that is compelling customers to make a second purchase. So it sounds simple, and maybe too simple, but I'm going to convince you that it's not. I mean, it is simple, but it's really important and really effective. The data shows that once a customer makes their second purchase with your brand, they're more than twice as likely to make a third. And so armed with that data, we really need to shift our thinking from broadly growing customer loyalty to approach the customer lifecycle in smaller, more achievable steps. Essentially, drive customer loyalty by driving a second purchase. Given the amount of new fleeting customers that you're going to see this holiday season, increasing your first to second purchase rate even modestly would lead to massive increases in revenue over time. So, how does shifting that mindset and narrowing your focus manifest in your day-to-day as a marketer? We partnered with our customers to come up with 5 ways that you can start to focus in on the first to second purchase rate today and be prepared to convert your holiday shoppers into loyal customers. So that's what we're going to walk through now. Cool. So the first thing that we propose, and this seems pretty obvious, but it's incredibly important. It's using insights from last holiday season. So it's the most obvious but important part of optimizing your 2016 holiday season. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot you can learn from your customers' previous behaviors, whether on a day like Black Friday or Cyber Monday, or on a particular channel or device, or even in particular product categories. And based on that information, you can make more informed, more effective to focus your time and attention to really maximize ROI. And so while there are a number of advanced customer analytics solutions available today, any marketer can learn from last year just by starting with traffic data in Google Analytics or period-specific search campaign performance in Google AdWords. So narrowing your reporting to last November and December if you're focused on acquisition, or January and February if you're focused on which campaigns were really driving people to return to your business. And I would do the same thing in analytics, look at cross-shopping behavior, etc. If you do have a more advanced analytics platform in place, lifecycle attribution can help you understand which campaigns, sources, and mediums, regardless of channel, most effectively drove second purchases in that period of time, so January or February of last year. And that will give you a fantastic starting point when planning 2016. When you're able to look at how a campaign performed against a metric like that, obviously you're in a great position to optimize the step in the life cycle. Another type of analysis is understanding trends in your customers' cross-category shopping behavior. So this understanding would allow you to profile shoppers according to data that you have about other customers who've made similar purchases, have similar behaviors and characteristics. So like when using that behavior, you could make conclusions like a customer buying this jacket is likely to buy these gloves as well. And when you know that customers who buy products from category A are also very likely to purchase category B, then you're able to effectively cross-sell active customers as well as customers who recently made a purchase. And that's how it fits into the topic at hand today. As a bit of an added value, note that lifecycle attribution could also help you understand which new customer acquisition strategies are driving the highest customer lifetime value over time. So it's more targeted, more effective customer acquisition up front. And that helps everybody, acquisition team as well as the customer retention team. The next one is expanding your outreach to social and search. That sounds very obvious as well, but I will give you specific examples of how you can use it to coordinate multi-channel campaigns at no additional cost to what you're spending today. So in 2014, many of you know this, but Facebook introduced their custom audience feature, which allows marketers to upload customer lists to Facebook for advanced targeting. And just a year later, Google introduced Customer Match, which provides the same benefit for ad targeting across Google properties, including YouTube. So if you're not taking advantage of the features, there's no better time than right now. You can target high-value customers, maximize click-through rates, reduce cost per click, etc. So it's just something you should be aware of. But the reason why it's important is because your holiday shoppers might not be receptive to email or may have never even opted in to receive email to begin with. And that's why the highest performing retailers that we work with are leveraging both custom audience and customer match to engage those customers with highly relevant targeted advertising across multiple channels. So as a starting point, we'd recommend segmenting your customers by number of purchases, uploading that list into Facebook or Google, and we'll actually walk through how you might create an ad campaign. So if you are familiar with Facebook advertising, this is just a view in your Facebook Ads Manager, specifically audiences. If you're not, anybody with a Facebook account can access or actually can start advertising. It's right in the drop-down, Manage Ads, and then you want to click on Audiences. And when you're in the Audiences menu, you'll see the screen on the left. So you want to click where it says Create Custom Audience. And when you do that, you'll see the screen on the right where you can upload your customer list. And there are other options like tagging your website, but it's not as helpful if you actually want to segment your customers by your life cycle stage or product category, for example. Once you've created your custom audience, you can then select it for targeting using the Saved Audiences dropdown, and it takes Facebook roughly 30 minutes to digest your list and make it available, so be a little patient. There are tools that allow you to automatically sync segments. Zaius is one. But regardless of how you do it, this is the simplest, fastest way to get started with coordinated multi-channel campaigns and maximizing the reach of every message. Extra tip here, one thing you can try is using Facebook's lookalike feature. And what that does is it takes the customer list that you uploaded and finds people who are similar to that, to customers on that list. And so an example of how you might use that is segment your most loyal customers, all of your customers who made 4 purchases or more. And then take that list, upload it to Facebook, use the lookalike option, and advertise specifically to customers that look like your loyal customers. If you're focused on acquiring customers that look like your loyal customers, we're willing to bet that that's going to be a higher quality acquisition, probably reduce your cost, but also have a much higher payback because those loyal customers are going to end up spending a lot more with you. So once you've nailed the basics of audience targeting, we suggest you segment your audience in more advanced ways, like targeting customers who made, so this would be specific for the holiday, target customers who made 1 purchase between November and December and have not opened an email. And show them an ad promoting items they viewed while shopping but didn't buy. So that brings us to our third point here, which is browse abandonment. So for those of you not familiar with browser abandonment campaigns, I will walk through them. You might also know them as PDP abandonment. PDP stands for product detail page. And these campaigns can be extremely effective at converting not just second, third, and fourth purchases, but even a first purchase if you've already managed to gather contact information from the shopper and you can identify who they are. These campaigns work by using a shopper's browsing behavior. You can use that behavior to inform the timing and content of communication. So, for example, you got shopper A viewed 3 different laptop product pages during a session, but ultimately ended up purchasing a pair of headphones. So one generally effective next step could be to communicate with that customer about a sale on laptops. So it's not unlike your traditional cart abandonment campaigns, but it does require a little bit more advanced understanding of your customer shopping behavior. Other more advanced tactics might include delivering a coupon for the product they viewed within minutes of their browsing session, or notifying the shopper when an item they viewed decreases in price. So one really interesting thing here, I think, specific to the holidays, is this is what we're going to talk about next, which is focusing on second purchases of holiday shoppers. And it gives us a unique way to think about browse abandonment, since when I'm gift shopping for friends and family, I think most of us do this, a little bit of personal browsing as well. So, for example, if shopper B browses men's outerwear and ultimately purchases a women's jacket, I've done that before. The majority of retailers today would send that shopper follow-up emails showcasing women's clothing, which, because we know shopper B is a male who bought a one-time gift for his wife, likely seals the fate of his relationship with that brand. The advanced marketer might use his browsing behavior to deliver a campaign promoting discounts on men's outerwear, which he did browse but did not purchase. And that would ultimately improve the odds of converting the gift buyer into a loyal customer. If you have information about whether or not his purchase was a gift, so if there's a checkbox in the checkout process that says this is a gift, you can actually use that information to do this even more effectively. The fourth way we're going to talk about is adjusting your incentives program. So most retailers have some version of a loyalty program. Most of them are based on earning points for money spent over time, which in large quantities can afford you rewards like discounts or free products or access to exclusive sales, for example. But what most loyalty programs don't take into consideration is that a first-time buyer, especially a holiday shopper, is very unlikely to be thinking about a long-term relationship with your brand. I like to compare it to if you were on a first date and you asked somebody for exclusivity. That would be a little weird. So you're a lot more likely to progress a relationship by asking for a second date. And that's for the same reasons we're focused on compelling a second purchase. Try using what you know about the customer to offer semi-unique incentives designed to drive second purchase. So there's an example here on the screen. If shopper C spent $87 on their first purchase, why not offer a reward for spending $13 more to hit the $100 benchmark? It's very small investment on their part, but you're compelling them to make a second purchase. They're going to get a reward for spending $13 more. And if they spent $114, try $125 and so on. You can communicate that type of program via email or any other channel available to you. This is a simple but effective and, most importantly, step-driven loyalty program to implement if you segment your customers by lifetime revenue. Remember, once you've incentivized a second purchase, no matter how small, they're much more likely to make a third, and the likelihood of creating a loyal customer out of them is just increases exponentially. So the fifth thing we'll talk about is, and this is a little bit of a no-brainer, but probably the most important, is putting it all together. So far we've covered insights from last year's holiday shopping trends to inform your 2016 planning. leveraging new targeting capabilities from Facebook and Google to increase your reach, introducing browse abandonment campaigns, and adjusting your loyalty program as we just talked about. So the single most important thing you can do to make all of this more effective is to use it together. So first and foremost, definitely, without a doubt, make the most informed decisions possible by basing them on what you know about last year's shopping behavior, campaign performance, which hopefully you were already measuring. But if you weren't, even if you weren't, here I'm going to walk through one campaign you could run during and following this holiday season that's guaranteed to convert more holiday shoppers into loyal customers. So the first thing, and I'll send out, by the way, I'll send out an email about this following the presentation. But the first thing you do is create a segment of one-time purchasers who made their first purchase in November or December. So you should be able to do that with your e-commerce system. If not, there are plenty of analytics systems that can do it. But just make sure you get it in place now. Now's the perfect time if you don't have an analytics solution in place. Get it in now, because not only will it help you understand what happened this holiday season, but you'll be in a much better shape next year. Next thing you do, use browse abandonment data from those customers to prioritize which category of products you're going to focus your campaigns on. So the men's outerwear example, right? So this guy made his first purchase in November, December, bought the jacket for his wife, but you're going to use the browse abandonment behavior to prioritize his category of products to men's outerwear. And whether you're doing this manually or have software that personalizes emails for you, showing a customer a product or products that they expressed interest in is bound to increase the impact of your marketing. Next, coordinate a campaign across email, social, and search. And it sounds complex. It's not. We just walked. So get an email together, target it to a specific list of customers. This one we talked about, and then upload that same list of customers to Facebook and Google, and make sure that the message across all three channels is consistent. So, for example, you're going to show a 25% off sale on men's outerwear. It's going to be a 25% off sale on men's outerwear via email. They're going to see it on Facebook. They're going to see it on YouTube, and run it during the same period of time, or just really invest heavily in a single day or few days. They're much more likely to see the message because you're much more likely to be communicating with them on a channel that they actually engage with. And then the fourth thing, the next step would be, if the customer doesn't purchase within a week, 2 weeks, whatever you decide the appropriate time is, follow up with the second multi-channel campaign promoting the step-by-step incentive program that we talked about. So if they're not responding to 25% off men's outerwear, maybe this guy spent $87 on his wife's jacket, and you just want him to spend $13 more to get that $100 threshold. So maybe the offer is to spend $13 more and get an even steeper discount on men's outerwear, or some other men's outerwear accessory, or something along those lines. And just to note, like, our customers have proven that coordinated multi-channel campaigns actually drive up to 30% more conversions. So like I said, whether you're doing it manually or using some software to do it, it's easy to do, and all it takes is an investment in advertising costs. So you'd spend the money with Google, you spend the money with Facebook, but actually coordinating the campaigns is free and easy, and you should start doing it today. So one more thing, don't forget to appeal to the gift recipient. This is very easy to forget, but even though the gift recipient's not technically a customer, if you're not working to gain their repeat business, you're missing a huge opportunity. It may be even easier to find loyalty in the gift recipient than the gift giver, because the gift recipient's likely to have requested your specific brand, or at least a product that your brand specializes in. So try including discounts or other repeat purchase incentives inside the packaging to make sure that it gets to the gift recipient directly. So I wouldn't count that as one of the 5 ways, but definitely do that if you're actually shipping your product out. So the key takeaways, these align with the 5 steps, but don't start from scratch. Analyze customer behavior patterns from last year and leverage that understanding to do more of what worked and less of what didn't. It's very basic. It's very important. It's the most effective thing you can do is to learn from the past. Second, consider search and social media advertising for targeted messaging. We've seen these kind of campaigns drive up to 30% increases in conversion rates. Like I said, don't underestimate the impact of even basic customer targeting and segmentation can have. Third, browse abandonment campaigns. They provide relevant behavioral context for your customers. Not every shopper adds products to cart. In fact, most don't. So just focusing on cart abandonment campaigns misses a massive segment of customers. And try running post-holiday browse abandonment campaigns to capitalize on personal shopping behavior, like we mentioned. It's important, I think, whenever I think about marketing, I try to remember how I behaved as a consumer. So that personal shopping behavior while I'm also shopping for gifts happens all the time. Try to take advantage of that. Fourth thing, implement incentive programs that are actually focused on driving steps through the life cycle. You wouldn't, like I said, you wouldn't be asked to commit to a relationship after one date, so don't treat your customers like that. Focus on step-by-step, hyper-focused on driving the next purchase. And in this case, with your holiday shoppers, that's second purchase. And lastly, really leverage each of those steps to grow your total repeat purchaser segment. We did walk through that campaign. We will follow up with that campaign that you can run. I think if you take one thing away from what we learned today, it's see if you can implement that campaign. Even a basic version of it, I would just focus on coordinated multi-channel across email, social, and search. Cool. So yeah, that does it for the presentation. So at this point, we'll open it up to questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eric. Great presentation. Some really good, some really good ways to kind of think about going into the holiday shopping season. But actually, kind of referring back to those 5 steps, kind of our first question here as we jump in. Question from James. He wants to know, kind of, if we're looking at those 5 steps, what do you think the most valuable, critical one would be? If I'm going to focus on one of those today or tomorrow, what is the most critical and valuable one for marketers to actually start focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about specifically about the steps, the first one, like I said, just using data from years past, and it doesn't have to be customer data. It doesn't have to be customer identified data. It can be even just shopping behaviors overall on your website. You can, I'm sure everybody has at least a basic analytics platform in place. Just go in and see, what are the product categories that perform best for you, which product categories drove traffic to other product categories. There's just so much you can learn, and to be starting from scratch or just staying with the status quo and not learning from what worked and what didn't is just it's sad when people don't do that. So definitely don't start from scratch. Start from an understanding you have based on what's happened in the past. And then outside of the steps, the thing that we're just really harping on here is stop focusing on a broad customer loyalty. Stop thinking about customer loyalty as this really difficult to achieve long-term objective, because it's hard to achieve things when you think of them in abstract like that. So focus specifically on the second purchase. When you build an incentive program, when you build any of your campaigns, just try to get that second purchase, and then take it from there. But it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to get that third and fourth purchase after that. So just focus on that second purchase.
Great. Thank you, Eric. I got a question here from Evan, kind of talking about Zaius' platform. He wants to know, is lifecycle attribution embedded into Zaius?
Yeah, it is. Won't spend too much time on it, but yeah, the life cycle itself, there are out-of-the-box customer segments based on number of purchases as well as actual behavior, interactions with your emails, interactions with your website, how many times did they visit a PDP page, etc. And then which campaigns are actually driving velocity through that life cycle. I mean, that's why our customers are our customers.
Great, thanks, Eric. Kind of a follow-up question too from Evan as well. I know you were kind of discussing browse abandonment a little earlier. He's wondering, is that just retargeting off pixels on the product pages?
You can do it that way. Retargeting is certainly a way to do it with anonymous customers. And I think if you don't know who the customer is, you can certainly use pixel-based retargeting. If you do know who the customer is, you're a lot more likely to be able to speak to them effectively. So you're not going to know that the person who hit that pixel already made one purchase from you, or made a purchase on women's outerwear, but he also browsed men's outerwear. It gets too complicated for pixel-based retargeting. So the idea is you can start with that, and if you're not doing it, do it. But the idea is to get smarter about who your customers are over time, not just what this pixel identified anonymous user did once.
Great. Thanks, Eric. A question actually just came in from Matt. Wants to know, how do you actually link offline purchases with online behaviors? It's actually a question we get a lot as well.
Yeah, it's not easy, but with some of our largest customers, that is the number one challenge they had for us. So there are a number of ways you can do it. Whether it's API calls, out-of-the-box integration with point-of-sale systems. The key really is that the store has to be identifying the customer at checkout, because otherwise you're not going to be able to attribute that in-store purchase to a customer to begin with. So that's the first thing. So my first recommendation, if you have a store, is definitely figure out a way to identify the purchaser at checkout. So if it's a rewards program where they enter their email, or even if it's just part of the checkout process on the screen during checkout, entering an email address, it's so important to be able to link. I mean, it's absolutely critical to be able to link online and offline behavior. But technically, how we do it, there are a number of ways to do it. But usually, typically, like I was saying, APIs, out-of-the-box integrations. We also have customers that upload data every day or every 2 days, etc.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Let's see. We got another question here from Jake. Wants to know, talking about acquiring data, actually, what are some effective ways to actually capture a customer's information and profile before actually they make the first purchase? Are there any kind of strategies that you would use to actually capturing that information at first?
Yeah, I mean, the most common one, it's really not where we're focused, but the one that I see as a consumer all the time is I land on an e-commerce website and they offer me a discount in exchange for my email address. And that's just right there. That's the most common and probably most basic way of doing what you're trying to do. I'm sure there are more creative ways as well. The one downside of that is you're making an assumption that the customer is price sensitive right off the bat, and you're also giving them a coupon before they've even shown you anything about how they intend to make a purchase. So I'd say the pros outweigh the cons on that one, but definitely something to be aware of.
Great. Thank you, Eric. This actually came up a couple times during the presentation as well. Maggie wants to know, is it possible to actually oversaturate your customer with messaging? Can you over-coordinate cross-channel campaigns? Like, I guess, is it too much sometimes to kind of send out messaging to your actual current customers? I mean, I see this actually a lot. Some of the companies actually are targeting myself. In my inbox, I get an email from them every single day. And so, is there a point where it just diminishing return?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, definitely. And again, this go back to my own experience as a consumer. There are ways you can, if you're talking about retargeting, there are caps you can put on how many times you hit an individual. But if you're talking about own channels like email or social or search advertising, you want to be understanding how those customers are engaging with each channel. It's a little harder on Facebook and Google because you can't, you don't understand how many times they've seen an ad necessarily, like an individual person has seen an ad. But with email, for example, if you sent them 10 emails over the course of a couple of weeks and they haven't engaged with any of them, then stop sending them email and start using another channel. Start using Facebook or Google. Start using SMS. Start using push messaging if you have the ability to connect with your users via a mobile app. So really, the idea is engage with the customers where they want to be engaged with, and if they're not responding to a specific channel, just stop with that channel. Even if they're not opening your emails, they're seeing your name pop up, and they're probably getting a little annoyed. So just stop with that channel and try something else.
Of course, yeah. There's kind of a follow-up question here as well. It kind of just ties back into, I think you actually answered it pretty well. They just want to know, pretty much, is it important to base communications on the actions a customer takes, or is it better to make communications based on the calendar or milestone based? But I think you actually answered it pretty well, talking with your last response. But
yeah, I mean, to add a little bit of color, I think the answer is you want to be doing both of those things together. There is definitely a benefit of calendaring and creating a calendar of campaigns over a certain period of time. But even if you're doing that, make sure that you're segmenting your customers properly, so that even if it's a campaign that's some kind of annual sale, make sure that the sale or the products that you're putting on sale are relevant to the person you're sending it to, or that don't send them a sale if they don't respond to coupons or sales in general. Send them something else. Maybe try the loyalty program, the step-by-step loyalty program instead of a coupon. So it's using the customer behavior to be smarter about what you're doing. But then calendaring in tandem with behaviorally based messaging is really it's kind of where you need to be these days. Customers expect to be responded to, and they expect to see emails or other communications that are very relevant to how they've interacted with your brand, regardless of what channel they're interacting with.
Of course, yeah, and it's kind of seamless across every single channel, it seems, nowadays, too. It's like they just want one seamless experience, whether they're messaging you through Facebook or they're messaging you via email or calling directly. Yeah. They expect the same.
Yeah, and I know, that's what customers expect, so you need to be doing it. And I think a lot of marketers out there think, I need to be doing it because my customers expect that. But you can think about it that way, and that's good that you care about your customer's experience. At the end of the day, we are marketers are employed because we're able to generate revenue for the business, and it is proven that consistent cross-channel experiences, they're not just a better experience for the customer; they're more effective. So as a marketer, it's important to remember we're not just doing our customers favors here. We're actually doing our job a lot better because of it.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Eric. So talking about kind of the holiday shopping season, is kind of the overall theme of this is turning the first-time purchasers into loyalists almost. Question here from Zoe, just kind of talking about what are some ways to effectively understand whether the purchaser is a gift receiver versus the gift giver, which is it's pretty much the holiday shopping season. It's bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to it's not easy. I would say if you do have an option in your checkout process of identifying when something is a gift, maybe it's even just as simple as a checkbox saying this is a gift. Maybe you offer some kind of additional service, whether it's gift wrapping or including a gift receipt. Almost everything I've ever purchased as a gift, I like to include a gift receipt. So if you just make that an option, you're going to know that purchase was a gift. There are more subtle ways to do it, like if somebody came in and searched two wildly different product categories that have virtually nothing to do with each other, and it's during the holiday season, and they get rush shipping. I mean, there are lots of keys you can use, but I think if you can put some simple check in place, like having the customer self-identify it as a gift, that would be your best case scenario.
Of course. Thanks, Eric. Question just came in from Paul. I'm not sure if you have any expertise around this, but I just kind of wanted to see. Paul just asked, what is your take on sending mass emails to individuals' Facebook accounts? Do you know if there's any restrictions imposed by Facebook that you know of?
So I've received only one time I've made a purchase with a brand, and they actually sent me a Facebook message, which I'm assuming that's what Paul is asking about. Mm-hmm. I don't know actually what the policies are, but I would think about this in the same way you think about any kind of mass marketing. It's not going to do your brand any favors to mass send a message via any channel, and it certainly goes against everything we've kind of talked about in terms of being relevant to the customer and their engagement with your brand. So maybe it will drive some dollars for you, but I wouldn't encourage it, regardless of Facebook's policy. I wouldn't encourage it as a long-term strategy.
Great, thanks. Another question here from Mike. You may have answered this earlier, but just to kind of reiterate, he wants to know all right, if he's going to focus on one channel, that's where he wants to focus his investment on. Which channel would you say is kind of like the most effective during the holiday season for retailers? Is there one in particular, or what are your thoughts?
I could never answer that question confidently because every customer is different, and like we were talking about, if a customer is not opening email, try other channels. Every customer is different. Every business is different. So you could ask me that question if I knew who you were reaching out to and which company you're reaching out with a message from, and then I might be able to answer it. But it's impossible to answer otherwise.
Of course. Great. I just want to finish off with one last question. Before we do that, I just want everyone to know that this has been recorded. You will receive both of the days from yesterday's with Jason talking about 3 advanced Google shopping strategies, as well as today's course recording with Zaius and Eric. So be on the lookout for that. There'll be an email from CPC Strategy tomorrow. So definitely check that out. If you missed yesterday's presentation or you just want to go back and take some notes. But Eric, just pretty much what I like to do at the end of the presentation, what I did with Jason yesterday, is just if there's one thing that you were paying attention to this year based off the data from last year, kind of asked Jason based off what he saw last year leading up into Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, into the actual bulk of the holiday shopping season. Is there one thing that your clients are really paying in particular attention to this year, and things that you as a company are going to be focusing on for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think it ties right back into the report from NRF is, sales on mobile devices have increased. I think it was 60% year over year, and with smartphones specifically, it's doubled. And e-commerce as a business is growing by leaps and bounds. So you need to be able to understand who your customers are across devices. So the reason why that's important is because people are using multiple devices to make purchases. We are, with our clients, as I mentioned earlier in the webinar, they know that a lot of their customers are doing product research on mobile devices, but are making purchases on desktop. That's been a trend for years for our customers. I think it's probably trending a little bit toward mobile sales as well, given the recent data from NRF. But being able to say, tailor the desktop experience based on mobile behavior. I imagine if you could do that effectively, you would know that I browsed some product category, or I am the same person on a mobile device as the person who's behaving on a desktop device, and it's linking that behavior and being able to tie the cross-device experience together is critical, and obviously becoming more and more critical.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eric. So again, I want to thank Eric for spending the time giving this fantastic presentation and joining us for this 2-day event. I want to thank everyone who's attended for today, attended both days, one day. Want to thank everyone. Like I said, it has been recorded. Everything will be sent out tomorrow. But other than that, I want to thank everyone again, and that will do it for today's presentation.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.